What is up, everybody? This is All Things Entertaining here, bringing you with a brand new video. And today we have all the the last archetype coming out of Secret Slayers, the Snowflowers. And I know I didn't do a video over the Adamantia and the El Dorado archetype because I guess that's what the artwork is based off of. But we're gonna go over the Snowflowers because this one's actually quite interesting, to me at least. And we're gonna be seeing how much. Or how competitively viable these cards are. We're going to see if they're going to be any good. Maybe even if they're not, they will still be a decent, cool deck that you can definitely run. And we're also going to be discussing what cards you should definitely be playing in this deck to maximize your efficiency in this deck. So I have only read one effect so far, and it's actually pretty decent. So we're just going to go ahead and right into that. So the first thing we got here is Snowflower Petal. It is a level 1 water plant effect monster with 0 attack and 0 defense, and you can only use the first and second effect of each effect once per turn. The first effect is during your main phase. You can take one Snowflower monster from your deck, except Snowflower Petal, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except plant monsters. So, even with this sort of restriction where it locks you into plant monsters, this is a really good effect, especially since it's not like a normal summon effect where you can only capitalize it on it one time. It's definitely good that you can just, if you want to keep recurring this card, you can just keep it on the field if you want to, and then just keep using the effect to keep sending cards to the graveyard. It is very, very good. It is locked into Snowflowers and not plant types in general, but I guess that'd be really, really broken. The second effect is during your opponent's end phase. If you control no monsters or all monsters you control are plant monsters, and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. So it has self recursion. This is going to be a really good play starter for the deck, and I think even if you're I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, considering the fact that you could just foolish burial this card and then just like wait until your opponent's end phase if you don't open this card already, and then just get a free special summon. And it even works with itself. It's not like well, you can only control one of this card per turn. You can normal summon. You can have this card on the field if you really want to. So it's really good. It's also a really good one-for-one target as well. So there's that also. Next we have Snowflower Sprite Prim. It's a level 4 water plant effect monster with 800 attack and 1800 defense. And again, you can only use each effect of this card's each effect once per turn. The first effect is if a monster's you control is tributed, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. The second effect is you can target up to 2 plant monsters you control and increase their level by 2 until the end of this turn. So kind of like a little bit of a FA sort of call throwback here with increasing the levels and stuff. And being able to special summon itself once a monster is tributed is pretty good. This could actually have some implications outside of Snow Petals that we could very well see. It is a level 4 water monster, and it works off if you tribute monsters and not just plant type monsters. And it also doesn't limit you into special summoning plant type monsters for the future. It's really good, I think. Next is Sunflower Sprite Cyclin. It's a level 4 water plant type of monster with the reverse attack and defense of the original, which is 1800 attack and 800 defense. And again, you can only use each effect once per turn. You contribute this card from your hand or field, then target up to 2 plant monsters you control. Decrease their levels by 2 until the end of this turn. I guess that makes perfect sense why you would want to have these two cards synergize well with each other. They really do that very well. It's easy to just tribute this card, special summon this card, then just keep doing that over and over again. And during the end phase of this card, it was in your graveyard. If this card in your graveyard was tributed and sent there this turn, you can special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, unfortunately, with this effect, it actually just is locked to the end phase. If it was at any point, that'd be really, really cool. But it's going to actually probably get removed by your opponent at the end phase or on their turn. But if you can manage to find a way to keep this thing alive, it's a really good way to make a Bistler. It's not the fastest by any measure, but it's definitely not terrible. Next, we have Sunflower Sprite Peony. It's a level 6 water plant effect monster with 1000 attack and 2400 defense. And you can, again, first and second effect once per turn. You contribute 1 plant monster special summon card from your hand. That's actually probably that's kind of insane, actually. So, let's think about the really interesting scenario and the implication for this. So, turn 1. Let's say you have this card in your hand and you have Glow Bulb in your hand. You normal summon the Glow Bulb, tribute the Glow Bulb, special summon this card in your hand. and then you activate the Global's effect to get an easy rank or level 7 Synchro monster, or it's an easy also rank 2 or link 2 engine if you really want to go that route too. And if it's special summoned, if it's normal summoned or special summoned by a plant effect, you can add one Snowdrop, Snowflower spell and trap from your deck to your hand. That's actually not bad either. I'm not sure what the traps do, or the spell and traps actually do yet. So, but it seems like if they're really good, then that's going to be a really good effect right there. And we have Erica, Sprite Erica. Harken back to those Pokemon fans, huh? With Gym Leader Erica. A level 6 water plant effect monster with 2400 attack, 1000 defense. This is Monarch stats, yo. This has actual synergy with Monarch stuff. That's actually cool. When an attack is declared involving another plant monster, you contribute this card from your hand. Huh, interesting. Or field. You're battling a monster gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of the turn. This is actually kind of cool. So it has the added flexibility of being able to be attributed from your hand, which is something that we've never actually seen before in a card like this. It also synergizes perfectly well with the rest of the archetype, considering the fact that if you attribute this card, you get to activate a lot of your other card effects. It's really good to have an honest like effect in an archetype like this. It's really nice. So. If a plant monster you control is distributed while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field. This one is not locked during the end phase, unlike the level 4 monster, so that you have a decent synergy with that. It's a better effect overall, and it's not going to be that difficult to work with. Next is Sunflower Sprite Snowdrop, level 8, 1200, 2600. You can distribute one plant monster, special summon this card, and one plant monster from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for turn except plant monsters. This can special summon Lonefire Blossom from your hand. That's actually cool. It doesn't necessarily mean that Lonefire has to be your playstarter. This is really flexible. During your end, you can target one plant monster you control. The level of all plant monsters you control become the target of that level until the end of the turn. So if you have like a level 8, so you could. This is easy rank 8 plays. You special summon this by attributing a plant monster from the field. Probably the level 1 here, since that's what's going to be your main plane starter. And then you special summon. Then you special summon this card in defense position, or you can special summon this one from your hand, this one from your hand, and then you go on that and make it like a Dengirsu or a rank 8 or something like that. That's pretty neat, interesting. A Heliboros, again, reverse stats of the previous one. When an opponent's monster activates a monster effect that targets a monster you control, if you control a Snowdrop monster quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or field and negate that effect. Well, it's good that they have this sort of hand trap. Specifically when your opponent activates a monster effect that targets a monster. So it's going to be a little bit niche in that scenario. I think it might be okay. It has like a sort of a 1 of, maybe even a 2 of, because it is going to be searchable within the archetype, so you might not want to see this card as often. But it is a good way to get it into the graveyard. I just wish that it wasn't restricted to when your opponent activates a monster effect, and it's specifically that targets a monster you control, because it's kind of like Phantasme. Phantasme's negate effect isn't that strong, but the reason why people play Phantasme is because it draws cards, not necessarily because the negate is so strong. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute one plant monster, special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field. Good, easy way to make a rank 8s with that effect. So it definitely has its uses. It's going to be really cool to see how this all works out, because you're going to be want to play a lot of Foolish Burial stuff, ways to send your cards to the graveyard. I think Super Solar Nutrients is a good card in this archetype as well. Lonefire obviously is very good. Spore can manipulate levels to make some pretty good rank 8s and ranks and good stuff like that. It's also a really good tuner monster. Overall, the monster, this card is really good. I think if the deck is going to be any competitive at all, this is going to be one of the reasons why that is. And plus the fact that the special summons are relatively free for the most part is also another thing. Also, this card is Monarch Cess, which is somewhat irrelevant in a few ways. So you can play like some I guess Panthes and stuff and do some shenanigans with that. See how that goes for you. Granted, it's only one monster, but I mean it is kind of interesting to point out. We have the level 4 monster, which are the not that's level 4. I think it's a rank 8 monster. We'll go over this in a minute. We'll actually open this in a new tab. We'll go over it in a minute. We have a Snowflower Saint Teardrop. It's a normal spell. Add 1 Snowflower monster from your deck to hand. Then, if you activated this card by attributing a you can activate this card by with this one. You can also activate this card by attributing 1 plant monster. So it's a can. So I don't have to attribute a monster to get this effect. But you're probably going to want to do that anyway. You can add 1 Snowflower monster from your deck to hand. So this part is optional, right? Or not optional. This part is the main part of the effect that activates all the time. And then if you activate this card by attributing a monster, add 1 plant monster from your deck to hand. So this card can potentially search 2 cards. It's just not bad. But it has to be a different name than the monster that you first summons, which is not bad. But it also has the but it has to have the same original level, which is, I guess, works out, because this is a good. These are all 8s. These are 6s. These are 4s, and this is a 1. So it's just another plant monster. So you could search again, Globe Bulb or like Spore or something like that. So next is Swirling Sunflowers. If a sunflower monster you control is tributed, you can make your opponent tribute 1 monster they control, their choice. It's interesting. I'm not entirely sure how this will work, but it does actually benefit you for doing things that you're already going to be doing. It makes your opponent make decisions that they optimally probably wouldn't want to make any in the first place. It's a also targeting removal, technically, so it could actually very well work out for the deck. But giving your opponent the choice to tribute to monsters that they control could actually be a negative, because your opponent could actually because your opponent might actually want something in the graveyard for this effect. So it's actually not like the best thing, but it also could be decent enough. Once per turn during your opponent's end phase, if you control a non-plant monster, destroy this card. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be playing anything non-plant in this deck unless it's like specifically like a hand trap or like Phantasme, and those cards probably won't be on the field that long, so this is not going to make that much of a difference. But it is during your opponent's end phase, so if you do special Phantasme, it is going to die. But I mean, I guess it's okay, whatever. Next, we have one of the traps. This is Silent Sun or Snowflower. You will activate this card once per turn, and you can activate the effect by attributing a plant monster. Same thing as the spell up here. So 1 monster from your graveyard in defense position, or 1 Snowflower. That's pretty good. Then, if you attributed a monster to activate this card, special summon 1 plant monster from your graveyard in defense position. So again, you have a lot of synergy with a lot of plant stuff here. It's really good. And next for the which is Sunflower Sheet. Again, same conditions as the trap and the spell up here. So target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. Its effects cannot be activated on the field for the rest of this turn. Then, if you attributed a monster to activate this card, take control of that monster until the end phase. And if you do, it becomes a plant monster. Now this is going to be interesting. This is actually kind of a really cool card, because it actually lets you play Trap Trick in your deck. Because if you activate this card, then you get to tribute a card. You tribute a plant monster, and you take control of their monster, and also worst case scenario, it negates the card. This is a Widow Anchor. That's really cool. I'm not sure if you're going to be playing multiples of these, but if you're going to be playing Trap Tricks in the deck, you might want to play multiples of these. So yeah, overall, just a decent archetype. We're gonna get to this rank 8 though. It's a Snow Saint Teardrop. It's a water plant, rank 8, exceeds 2800 across the board. 2 level 8 monsters, so it's completely generic. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can detach material from this card, then target 1 monster on the field, attribute it. This is a quick effect if this card has a plant material. It's you can also attribute your opponent's monsters, which is not bad. The second effect is each time a monster is distributed, this card gains 200 attack for each monster distributed until the end of the turn. So it does synergize well with the rest of the deck, but I don't think it's not necessarily that good. You're gonna be playing 1 of this because it is probably a Snow Saint. It will probably have a. I think it's actually the Snowflower is the same thing. Yeah, yeah. So. It'll synergize with the rest of the deck, because this probably will be changed to Snowdrop instead of Snow Saint. But definitely interesting. I like it a lot. So as for like cool cards that you could play in this deck, obviously you're going to be playing like your normal plant stuff. You're going to be playing your lone flowers, your stuff and stuff like that. You're going to be playing your glow bulbs, maybe a spore. Um, but cards that also people aren't talking about is maybe like Moray of Greed, because they're all water monsters. You just shuffle back 2 water monsters and then you draw 3 cards. Definitely very good, especially if you open multiple copies of like I guess this card that doesn't really special summon itself. Um, I guess maybe this one if you don't really need it, because you probably want to see this card more in the graveyard than you do in your hand. So it's not bad. It's not bad. As for the archetype in general, this card's going to make the deck really good, as well as the level 1 monster just being absolutely insane for what it does, being able to send Snowflower monsters to. I don't know why I keep saying Snowdrop, but Snowflower monsters. It's definitely really good. So, Super Solar Nutrients, I think, is a good card. We're actually going to look it up because I actually don't remember the effects. Super Solar Nutrient. Tributing a level 1 level 2 or lower plant type monster for some one of the plant type monster from your hand or deck whose level is less than or equal to the monster. So you can activate this card. So your key combo with this is you activate this card. You normal summon this or Glow Bulb. Either one works. You tribute the monster, then you special summon either Glow Bulb or this card, and then preferably this card. Then you activate the effect to send another Snowdrop, and then you get to go on your shenanigans. It's really good. So, also makes Formula Synchron pretty easily too. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about this archetype in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been All Things Entertaining signing out.